Welcome to the NBAV podcast. Welcome back to NBAV, the NBA Avenue podcast, where we're going to start off with the disaster that's happening right now in Milwaukee. What in the world is happening to the Milwaukee Bucks? Damian Lillard has lost his ability to shoot the basketball. He already lost the ability, or maybe potentially never had the ability to play good defense, or maybe it's just bad habits ingrained in him over time. He can't shoot. He can't play make. He can't figure out how to play alongside one of the greatest players we've ever seen in Giannis Antetokounmpo. What kind of guard, what kind of all-star, all-NBA caliber player can't figure out how to play alongside Giannis? How is that even possible? You watch Damian Lillard, and people love Damian Lillard. Like, Damian Lillard is a popular player. There are people who try to put Damian Lillard in the class of Steph Curry and say that those two players are comparable players. I don't believe that was ever true. Lillard was always a league behind Steph Curry. Steph Curry is right in there with those top players of all time. And Damian Lillard is in there with really good scorers. Really good scorers of your generation. You could put Damian Lillard in there with anyone. But currently, with the precipitous fall that he's had, and the Bucks have no other option. I don't know what the Bucks are going to do. How are they going to get rid of him? No one's going to take Damian Lillard and give you anything of value for him with the way he's playing right now. You're stuck with him. And if he turns it around, then you're not going to want to trade him. So what in the world are the Milwaukee Bucks going to do? But the funny part is, you have other guards in the league that people love to pick on, namely Russell Westbrook. And Russ was an MVP, right? At least once. I don't remember. Did he win it twice? I think Russ won it once. I think James Harden won it twice. I can look up the details, but, so can you guys. So we have two different point guards that people really love to bash in Russ, who's now gone from team to team to team at the end of his career. First, Russ tried to make it work. He was on the Lakers, and that was a disaster. He was on the Clippers, and he had some good points and some bad points. He was on the Rockets, and now he's on the Nuggets. And the Nuggets lost the first two games, and people were berating him, and then Russell Westbrook came out of the gates with a great game. And Russ is hit or miss, and Russ is not the shooter that Damian Lillard was, but somehow Russ is still currently a more productive player than Damian Lillard. And if you want to go further, for their careers, Russ is the better player. Yes, Damian Lillard was the better three-point shooter, but how can you say that Dame Lillard all time is a greater player than Russell Westbrook? He wasn't better than Russ at their heights. Damian Lillard never seriously threatened for the MVP. Russ was the MVP, and he put up stellar seasons, and he went to the finals with KD. I mean, what can you really say that tells you that Dame Lillard was a better all-time player than Russ? Not only that, Russ is still here, Lillard is still here, and Russ still somehow looks better than Lillard. How did Lillard fall off of his game so quickly? Then you go to James Harden, and I'm telling you right now, if James Harden was with Giannis, they'd be in a much better position than with Dame Lillard right now. Now, you could say Harden doesn't play great defense either. He's actually shown that he can play some post defense for some reason, but he can't play defense like a guard, which is interesting. But if you put James Harden in there with Giannis right now, not only are you getting better shooting, because James Harden still seems to have his offensive game, it's aged very nicely. And by the way, he's a two-time MVP, if I have everything correct. And this is just going off the top of my head, but I believe two-time MVP, prolific scorer. Yeah, he didn't come up in the playoffs, but it's not like Damian Lillard did. I remember when Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum got swept by the Pelicans. Rajon Rondo and Anthony Davis swept them. The Blazers didn't win a game. They got swept by that team that had Nikola Mirotic on it. Not like Damian Lillard's been some playoff genius. Yeah, sure, he hit the occasional big shot, but on an aggregate scale, Dame Lillard has never really been an incredible playoff guy. He got outplayed by Russ. He got outplayed by Steph. And James Harden still to this day is a better player than him. You know that if James Harden was playing alongside Giannis, not only is his offensive game there, but he's going to have the lobs to Giannis. You're going to see tons of lobs. He's able to unlock all sorts of big men. I mean, he did it to Capella in Houston. Capella was a phenomenal center for those years that he played alongside James Harden. James Harden could unlock a lot of stuff in Giannis. And you want to say Dame Lillard all time? I mean, Dame Lillard all time, he's got to be behind both of those guys. And currently today, he's behind both of those guys. The Clippers go out, and the Clippers put up a good showing every single game, whether they win or lose. So far, I don't think the Clippers have really had a horrible showing. Maybe they've had one. The Clippers go out there, and they play well offensively, at least. The Bucks are a train wreck. And everyone's saying, "Oh, the Bucks player development. They didn't extend Marion Beauchamp." It's like Beauchamp is terrible. What are you gonna do with Beauchamp? The guy, they've given him everything that he could possibly want. He's a 24th pick. So people are making it like, "Oh my God, they're not sticking with their guys." How many 24th picks really make it? If you go from picks 1 through 30, after the first 5 or 6 picks, most of those guys don't have great NBA careers. They still have the 24th pick on their team, and the guy's never shown to be anything good. Not only that, they gave him the keys to the kingdom in the preseason, but not for the preseason, but for the Vegas tournament or whatever tournament it was, the tournament that happens where you have the G League players getting a shot, and he was terrible. They never won a game. They lost all their games. With him at the helm, he basically got relegated to not being able to play as much. He was horrendous. He showed that he has nothing. He's not a point guard. He's not a shooter. Like, what is Beauchamp? So you can't really get upset at the Bucks for not doing. You can get upset at the Bucks for not drafting other better players and not building, because when you don't have a good farm system, when you don't have a good G League squad, it eventually comes back to bite you, because all these other teams are getting young players in there. Look at Phoenix; they get this guy, they get Dunn in there, and it's humongous for them. The kid is just he's been slotted right into the team. Ryan Dunn scored 16 points last night, but more impressively is his defense, and they have an array of players who fit together. You have to prioritize. Look at what happened with Memphis. I mean, Memphis took Jay Huff off of Orlando, and they immediately give Jay Huff a 4-year contract, and Jay Huff is playing big minutes for them. There are players to be had if you're smart. And I understand they got Gary Trent, and he hasn't shown to be the player that they wanted him to be thus far either. But the buck stops at Damian Lillard, because Giannis is Giannis. How upset can you get at Giannis? He does what he does every single game. If you are a Damian Lillard and you can't figure out in 2 seasons, it's there, so 1 full season, and then now the 5 games so far this season, you can't figure out how to make it work alongside one of the greatest big men / let's call it power forwards players in Giannis, he's going to end off as one of the greatest 15, 20 players ever, at least. You can't figure out how to make it work alongside him? What do you need? What is going to make it work for you? Which is making me think maybe this is just the end. Maybe this is just all done. Damian Lillard, maybe he's toast. He played 33 minutes last night. He scored 4 points. Now, there was a couple of days ago, you had a game where LeBron nearly didn't score double figures. And then he ended up with 10 points. He hit a 3 in the final few minutes, and LeBron ended up scoring double figures for his millionth straight game. Dame Lillard just went out and put up 4 points in over 30 minutes. He's the second best player on this team. You brought him here to keep Giannis happy. You gave up on having players like Drew Holiday on your team. And what happens? Damian Lillard in a season plus has been beyond dreadful, and the defense has been beyond dreadful. and they don't have anywhere to go. This is a disaster of disasters. I don't know how the Milwaukee Bucks are possibly going to get their way out of this one. And every game, we keep talking and saying, well, hey, the Bucks have to win the next one because they're getting more and more desperate. They can't win. It's not like the game last night was close. They lost by 23 points. You have John Morant go out, and he scores 26. He has an incredible triple-double. He scores 26, 14 assists, and 10 rebounds. That's their starting point guard. And you put that up against Damian Lillard, who only scores 4 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds. He got outplayed. He got more than doubled up in every category, and he got who knows how. I mean, Damian Lillard, you have to do. He got almost. And Damian Lillard scored 4 points, and Ja had 26. That's 22 points. That's the game right there. You get outplayed like that, and that was off the previous night. Ja Morant was playing against Dennis Schroeder, and Schroeder outplayed him really badly. And then Morant came back at least, and he has some respect for himself, and he says, I'm not going to do that twice in a row, and he destroys Damian Lillard. And it's not like the Grizzlies were a full-strength team. I mean, Desmond Bane didn't suit up in the game. That's their second-best guy. So you have Ja going out and getting the job done. Yeah, they had Jaren Jackson Jr. playing, but they didn't have Desmond Bane. They didn't even have. There were a few other players they didn't have. Who did they not have? I mean, Marcus Smart doesn't look like he played. And not that makes the biggest difference in the world. But they were missing guys. And the Bucks can't figure out a way to keep it close. This is a disaster, and I don't know how Milwaukee's getting out of it. You can't. Yeah, you're stuck with Lillard. You're stuck with him at this point. Move on to another game where you had the Rockets get a great victory against Dallas. And what you're seeing throughout the league is that teams that are well-balanced early on in the season are getting victories over teams that potentially are the better teams. Like Dallas is going to be the better team throughout the year. They'll be better than Houston. They'll make it further in the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. They'll make it further than Houston, beyond the shadow of a doubt. But the teams that are structured where you have the stars at the top, and then you have the let's say you have like Luka is like the sun and Kyrie's like the moon, and then you have the planets orbiting around them. That's sort of the team that Dallas is, where you have the top guys and then you have everyone else. And it's how well can you fit around those structures. And the Rockets don't really have that. The Rockets have, sure, they have Şengün, but Şengün isn't leaps and bounds above all the other players on the team. Luka and Kyrie are way above everyone else with their skill. Şengün is a good player at this point in his career, but you also have several good players. You have Van Vliet. You have Jalen Green. You have Tari Eason. You have Amen Thompson. You have Cam Whitmore. You have Reed Shepherd. You have Dylan Brooks and Jabari Smith. I mean, you have all of these guys, and they just have a well-rounded team 1 through 5. Early on in the season, you're seeing that teams that can just score from everywhere and just whoever has the ball is really good, those teams are able to get victories against teams like Dallas because in order to win, when you have the couple of guys who run your team and then everyone else orbits around them, everyone has to understand their defined role and they have to learn how to play that well, and that takes some time. And that's why you see a team like Dallas get hotter and hotter throughout the year like they did last year, where they did almost all their damage in the second half. So Dallas, look, they tried to get it done in the final minutes. Luka hit another big shot, but ultimately, if you play with fire every single game and you try to come back and do something miraculous at the end, even someone like Luka isn't going to get that done every single game. You play with fire, you're going to get burned, you're going to get some losses. You have the San Antonio Spurs beating the Utah Jazz in a game that I hope none of you had to watch. If you did, I hope you're doing all right. Real snooze fest right there. The Jazz dropped to 0-5 on the year. And then you had a phenomenal game. You had the Phoenix Suns against the Clippers, winning by 6, 125-119. And I'm real excited. I'm going to a Suns game this month. will be going to see the Suns against the Knicks on November 20th. And I wish I had season tickets to the Suns because the Suns are playing exciting basketball every game. They really care about this season, you can tell. And the players that they added, namely Tyus Jones and Ryan Dunn, have just been sensational for them. And last night, you see Royce O'Neal pop off and score 21 points and add 7 rebounds to that in just 29 minutes. A phenomenal game, especially clutch shots down the stretch to ice the game by Royce O'Neal. And you have Grayson Allen sitting there on the bench, and he only put up 2 points in 19 minutes. So what's going on over there? I'm not really sure. And you saw again for the second straight game, Monty Morris only played like 3 minutes. So they see that they had to move away from Monty Morris. And now that Grayson Allen's back, he's getting the playing time there. But Grayson Allen hasn't, in his first 2-3 games back, he hasn't figured out how to get his old play back. And when he does, that'll help them even more. But you're seeing that around Durant and Booker. And this was a game where they didn't even have Bradley Beal, and they still managed to win it. So you have Bradley Beal going in and out of the lineup, but Durant and Booker. And then you add in Ryan Dunn's defense and his three-point shooting. And you add in Tyus Jones, a bona fide winner. This guy goes places and wins games. In the games that he played on the Memphis Grizzlies as the starting point guard, they won almost all of them. It doesn't matter that these players are the best players in the game. What matters is how well they fit with the team. And you can see that Tyus Jones was an instant fit. You can see that Ryan Dunn was an instant fit. Now, are either of those guys top 10 players at their position? It doesn't matter. What matters is that they fit perfectly with Durant and Booker. And then when you slot Beal in, it's just another guy. And when you have Grayson Allen get his game back, it's just another guy. And Royce O'Neal can go off in a game like last night. That's another guy. And you got to make sure Nurkic doesn't hurt you. You have to take the bounce pass out of his game. Tell him, hey, you shouldn't be trying to thread the needle on tight windows. You are a 7-footer. Be a 7-footer. Get the ball in the post, make a quick move, decide if you're going to put up the baby hook or pass it out. None of these fancy bounce passes from you. You're not Jokic. Get that out of your brain. And if they're able to do that, the Suns are going to be in real good position. They're starting off the season 4-1, an incredible, incredible job by the Phoenix Suns. They're such an exciting team to watch right now, and it's not like the Clippers just rolled over. They had to really play 48 minutes of basketball to beat them. They had to come back in the game. It was just incredible. The Suns behind Durant and Booker specifically last night hit some incredible shots. And one night it's Durant, one night it's Booker, some nights it's both. And the planets orbiting around them are doing a phenomenal job. Instant fits on this team. You love to see it. Phoenix is real exciting, and I'm super excited to go watch them play at Footprint Center later this month against the New York Knicks. It's going to be a phenomenal time. Coming up, you have some games that look a little bit more predictable. Tonight, you're going to see the Celtics go against the Hornets. The Celtics win 80% of their ball games. You would be crazy to bet against them after they just lost one to think that the Hornets are going to win. So you've got to assume the Celtics are going to win that game. Then you have Orlando, fresh off the loss of Paolo Banchero. Now, what I'll say about Paolo is the Magic are in the Eastern Conference, so you're still going to be in the playoff mix. You just got to win a couple of games during the time that he's out. If he's out for 6 weeks, you just got to win some of those ball games. And you have other players. Let's see Mr. Max Contract Franz Wagner earn his money. Let's see him go out there and win a couple of ball games. You still have Suggs. You still have KCP. It's not like you're rolling out a horrible squad out there. You'll see more time go to Anthony Black. He's been playing better this season. Let's see if he can continue to improve. You still have Jonathan Isaac over there. You still have Wendell Carter. You still have Mo Wagner, right? You've even got Jarrett Allen. Not Jarrett Allen. You've got what's his name? You have the exciting young player on this team. He was really good in the G League. His name is slipping my mind right now. Just going to go quickly find it. Wait, we're going to see Orlando. It's going to be Jet Howard. Yeah, you have Jet Howard. He's a guy who you can get more playing time now. Let's build him up, build up these guys, see what they got. Jet Howard could be a really good player in this league. Let's see. Now he should have the opportunity. Get him on the court. Now, are they going to beat Cleveland? Probably not. Cleveland is super hot. They're 5-0. So Cleveland, most likely, they had a day off yesterday. They'll be back ready tonight. So let's see what happens. I would have to say that the Celtics and the Cavaliers are going to win again. Then you have the Knicks against the Pistons. I mean, if the Knicks can't beat the Pistons, then what are they doing? The Knicks got to beat the Pistons. They've been playing better basketball. They won their last 2. Let's see what happens. Let's see them win another one. So 3 games you would think are pretty predictable. Then you have the Nets at home against the Bulls, and the Nets have been playing very well this season. So the question is, the Nets are getting up for all of the opponents that are clearly better than them, and they're playing them tough. Now that they're playing a team that's not as good in the Chicago Bulls, what's going to happen? Are they going to play down to their competition? I would think the Nets should be okay to win this one because the Nets are playing very well. They're motivated. And on top of that, you have Cam Thomas at the end of ball games who can hit shots. So I would say you probably got to ride with the Brooklyn Nets at home on this one. Then you have the Lakers going against the Raptors. Raptors don't have Scotty Barnes, so come on, Lakers, you got to get this done. I know the Raptors are a young, frisky team. Grady Dick's been playing better, but come on, Lakers, you got to get this one done. So in the first 5 games of the night, I'd say you have pretty predictable games. It would be surprising if these games didn't go the way we think. Not that every game is going to go the way we think, but you got to think majority. Then the Kings are playing the Hawks. The Hawks have lost 3 in a row. The Kings have won a couple games in a row. You got to think the Kings are going to keep going. The Kings are in the West. The Hawks don't need these games nearly as bad as the Kings do. Let's check the injury report because Bogdan Bogdanovic missed his previous game among DeAndre Hunter as well. So we have got to see who's going to be on the injury report tonight for the Atlanta Hawks, and they have a pretty full one. So Dyson Daniels is going to be out for this game. Cody Zeller is going to be out for this game for personal reasons. DeAndre Hunter isn't going to play. Kobe Buffkin is out. Then you have Bogdan Bogdanovic, who underwent some sort of hamstring procedure, so he's going to be out for a month, so he's out. You have Vit Krejci, he's out. And then Seth Lundy, Dominic Barlow. So the Hawks are missing tons of guys. You're going to need to see a real good game from Trae Young, who turns the ball over a lot, in order for them to win this one. But the Kings just have a much better team with Fox, Sabonis, and DeRozan, and Keegan Murray, and Red Velvet. And they just have a much better team. If the Kings lose this one, it's just them squandering an opportunity. So there's 6 games, and it looks like they're all pretty simple to predict. Then you also have the last game of the night is the Thunder against the Blazers. I mean, how are you going to pick the Blazers to beat the Thunder? The Thunder undefeated. You got to pick the Thunder to beat the Blazers, and if you lose, you just say, okay, whatever, it happens. But the Pacers are playing the Pelicans, and that one's a little bit tougher because the Pelicans, yes, they've been playing extremely poor basketball, but the Pacers have shown us last season that they're not as consistent as you want them to be. So yes, I would pick the Pacers because what are you gonna how are you gonna pick the Pelicans? Like, what's the recipe there? Their team looks disjointed. They look like they don't want to play with each other. Zion is doing his thing, but Ingram looks like he doesn't want to be a basketball player. So what are you gonna do? DeJounte Murray's out. You're relying on Alvarado to win this matchup. The Pacers are heating up. They're playing a little better. You've got to ride with them until they show you a sign that they're playing worse. Then you have the tough one of the night, which is the Nuggets against the Timberwolves. The Nuggets have won a couple in a row. They won their 2 overtime games in a row, and they're 2-2. Then you have the Timberwolves, who are still a really good team, but they haven't figured it all out yet. Anthony Edwards has had a lot of the burden. Julius Randle only had 1 good game so far. He hasn't shown to be the player that you would hope. So it's a battle of 2-2 teams going against each other. They were both really good last season. And we'll see. It should be a close one because the Nuggets are playing these close games unless they just get manhandled defensively, and the Timberwolves are just able to ice them out. This should be a good close one down the stretch. I wouldn't bet on this game, but there's so many games if you want to bet and you want to put together a nice little parlay or something. There's so many games you can bet. You have the Celtics, you have the Cavaliers, the Knicks, all going against teams that are bad, especially because the Magic now don't have Paolo. You have the Lakers against the Raptors, the Kings against the Hawks. Every team has an A side and a B side. So there should be plenty of easier matchups if you want to go bet on them coming up tonight. As always, we're your source for a great time every time. And until next time, we are out.